The Tibetan Book of the Dead, Chapter 11, Part 3. An elucidation of the intermediate state of rebirth. Herein is contained the great liberation by hearing, an introduction to and elucidation of the intermediate state of rebirth, which is an extract from the Peaceful and Wrathful Deities, a profound sacred teaching entitled Natural Liberation Through Recognition of Enlightened Intention. I bow with respect to the spiritual teachers and assembled meditational deities. May they effect liberation in the intermediate state. From within the great liberation by hearing, the intermediate state of reality has already been presented. Here then follows that which is known as the elucidation of the intermediate state of rebirth. The introduction to the mental body. Although the elucidation of the intermediate state of reality has already been given many times, with the exception of those who are greatly experienced in the meditations of the sacred teachings and those who have an excellent inheritance of past actions, it is difficult for those lacking familiarity with meditative experience and those with a negative disposition to attain recognition on account of the fear and terror induced by negative past actions. Therefore, from the 10th day onwards, these individuals should once again be reminded of the nature of this intermediate state through the following words. As before, offerings should be made to the three precious jewels, and the aspirational prayer calling to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas for assistance should be repeated. Then one should read aloud the following, 3 or up to 7 times, calling to the deceased by name. O child of Buddha nature, listen carefully and understand. Hell beings, gods, and those with the body of the intermediate state are born in a supernormal manner. Formerly, when the visions of the peaceful and wrathful deities arose before you during the intermediate state of reality, you did not recognize them. Then, overwhelmed by terror, you would have fainted. 4.5 days later, upon awakening from this faint, your consciousness has again become clear, and a body resembling your former one has arisen. This body is described in the Tantras. Having the bodily form of one's past and emergent existences, complete with all sense faculties and the power of unobstructed movement, endowed with miraculous abilities derived from past actions, visible to those similar in kind and through pure clairvoyance. Here, past and emergent means that your present body, which is a product of your past habitual tendencies, will resemble a body of flesh and blood. But like a body of the auspicious eon, Bhadrakalpa, it will also be radiant and possess certain of the major and minor marks. Since this state is an apparitional experience of the mental body, it is called the mental body of apparitional experience in the intermediate state. At this time, if you are to be born as a god, you will come to experience the apparitional field of the realm of the gods. Depending on whichever of the realms you are to take birth in, whether that of the antigods, humans, animals, anguished spirits, or hell beings, you will come to experience its particular apparitional field. Therefore, past means that for 3.5 days you will possess the bodily form, which is a product of your past habitual tendencies and existences. And emergent means that after 3.5 days, the apparitional field of the next realm into which you are to be born will emerge. Hence the expression past and emergent existences. Whatever apparitional fields emerge at this time, do not be drawn by them. Do not become attached to them. Do not cling to them. If you cling to them and become attached, you will continue to roam among the 6 classes of beings and be turning towards suffering. Although until yesterday the intermediate state of reality arose within you, you did not recognize it. As a result, you have been compelled to wander here. Now, just as was formally introduced by your spiritual teacher, if you are able to cultivate, undistractedly, a recognition of the essential nature of reality, if you can rest and abide without grasping and without activity, directly in the unwavering naked awareness, which is radiance and emptiness conjoined, you can attain liberation and avoid wandering, yet further towards the womb entrances. If you are not able to achieve this recognition, then visualize your meditational deity, whichever it may be, or your spiritual teacher, as being seated on the crown of your head, and be intensely and fervently devoted. This is most important. Again and again, do not be distracted. If the deceased does indeed recognize this essential nature of reality, he or she will attain liberation and avoid roaming further amongst the 6 classes of beings. But on account of negative past actions, recognition is not easy to achieve, and therefore one should reiterate the introduction in the following words. O child of Buddha nature, listen carefully yet again. The phrase, complete with all sense faculties, and the power of unobstructed movement means that even though you may have been blind, deaf, or lame while you were alive, now in the intermediate state, your eyes see forms, your ears hear sounds, and all your sense faculties are faultless, clear, and complete. Hence the Tantra says, complete with all sense faculties. Recognize this sensory clarity, for it is a sign that you have died and are wandering in the intermediate state. Remember this oral instruction. O child of Buddha nature, unobstructed means that the body which you now have is a mental body. Your awareness is now separated from its physical support. Therefore, this is not a body of solid form. Accordingly, you now have the ability to move unobstructedly. Penetrating to the core of all forms, you can pass through Mount Sumeru and through dwellings, the earth, stones, boulders, and mountains. Indeed, other than your mother's womb and the indestructible seat, you can pass back and forth, even through Mount Sumeru itself. Remember the advice of your spiritual teacher, for this ability is a sign that you are wandering in the intermediate state of rebirth. Recognize this and pray to the meditational deity Mahakarunika. O child of Buddha nature, the phrase, endowed with miraculous abilities derived from past actions, does not mean that you necessarily possess any enlightened attributes or any miraculous ability in meditative stability, but that you have a miraculous ability which results from your past actions and accords with your past actions. Consequently, you will have the ability to circumambulate Mount Sumeru and the 4 continents in an instant. Merely in the time it takes to withdraw or hold out an arm, you can travel instantly anywhere you wish, just by thinking of your desired destination. Do not be fascinated by these diverse and haphazard miraculous abilities. Do not indulge in them. Of all the things which you have the ability to recall, there is not one which you cannot make manifest. You have the ability now to manifest any aspect of your past unimpededly. Therefore, recognize this and pray to your spiritual teacher. O child of Buddha nature, as for the phrase, visible to those similar in kind and through pure clairvoyance, the words similar in kind mean that in the intermediate state, those of a similar kind of birth will come to perceive one another. Thus, in the case of those similar in kind who are to be born as gods, the gods to be perceive one another. Similarly, those that are similar in kind to any of the 6 classes of beings will come to perceive one another. Do not become attached at the sight of these beings. Meditate on the meditational deity Mahakarunika. The words visible through pure clairvoyance do not refer to the clairvoyance which results from the meritorious qualities of the gods and so forth, but they do refer to the pure clairvoyance with which those of a genuine meditative concentration perceive. However, this is not a clairvoyance that can perceive the beings of the intermediate state at all times. If you are intent on seeing beings of like nature in this intermediate state, then they will be perceived. If you are not so intent, they will not be perceived. This clairvoyance will dissolve as soon as your concentration is distracted. O child of Buddha nature, with a body having qualities such as these just described, you will once again see your homeland and your relatives as if in a dream. Yet even though you call out to your relatives, they will not reply. You will see your family and relatives crying and realize, I am dead. What should I do now? Thinking this, you will be overwhelmed by intense suffering. You will feel like a fish expelled from the water, writhing on hot sand. Although you will suffer on realizing that you are dead, this is not helpful to you now. If you have a spiritual teacher, pray to your spiritual teacher. Pray to the meditational deity Mahakarunika. Although you will feel attached to your relatives, this is not helpful to you now. Do not be attached. Pray to Mahakarunika and be free of suffering, awe, and fear. O child of Buddha nature, your present awareness, freed from its physical support, is being blown by the coursing vital energy of past actions. Choicelessly, riding the horse of breath, it drifts directionless, like a feather on the wind. To all those who are crying, you will call out, I am here, do not cry. But they will not hear you. Yet again you will realize, I am dead, and experience a very profound despair. Do not be absorbed by this suffering. Continuously, there will be grayness, like autumn twilight, with neither day nor night. The intermediate states between death and birth will last for 1 week or 2 or 3 or 4, or 5 or 6 or 7 weeks, up to 49 days in all. It is said that suffering in the intermediate state of rebirth will last, generally speaking, for 21 days. However, since the duration of this state is based on past actions, a specific number of days is not certain. O child of Buddha nature, at this time the fierce, turbulent, utterly unbearable hurricane of past actions will be swirling behind you, driving you on. Do not be afraid. This is your own bewildered perception. Before you there will be a terrifying, dense, and unfathomable darkness, echoing with cries of strike and kill. Do not be afraid. Moreover, in the case of very negative beings, a swarm of carnivorous ogres will arise, executors of the unfailing law of cause and effect, brandishing an array of weapons and screaming out aggressively, strike and kill. You will imagine that you are being pursued by terrifying wild animals. You will imagine that you are being pursued by hordes of people and that you are struggling through snow, through rain, through blizzards, and through darkness. There will be the sound of mountains crumbling, of lakes flooding, of fire spreading, and the roar of fierce winds springing up. Terrified, you will try to flee wherever you can, but your path ahead will suddenly be cut off by 3 precipices, 1 white, 1 red, and 1 black, all 3 awesomely frightening. You will feel as if on the verge of falling. O child of Buddha nature, these are not truly precipices. They are aversion, attachment, and delusion, respectively. Know now that this is the intermediate state of rebirth, and call to the meditational deity Mahakarunika by name, and pray, O Lord Mahakarunika, spiritual teacher and precious jewel, save me, say your name, from falling into lower existences. Pray with deep commitment in this way. Do not forget. At this stage, in the case of those individuals who have gathered the accumulations of merit and pristine cognition, and have sincerely practiced the teachings, one will be welcomed by visions of abundant riches, and one will experience manifold blissful and happy states. In the case of those individuals who are indifferent or deluded, who have been neither virtuous nor negative, one will experience neither pleasure nor pain, but only an apathetic delusion. Whichever of these happens, O child of Buddha nature, whatever objects of desire or blissful or happy states appear before you, do not be attached to them. Do not cling to them. Be free from attachment and clinging, and mentally offer these experiences to your spiritual teacher and to the three precious jewels. Particularly, if these visions are of indifference, devoid of happiness or pain, abide in the experience of the Great Seal, where awareness is naturally present, without meditation and without distraction. This is very important. O child of Buddha nature, at this time you will try to find shelter from the hurricane of past actions, below bridges, in mansions, in temples or grass huts, or beside stupas and so forth, but this shelter will be momentary. It will not last. Your awareness, now separated from your body, will not rest, and you will feel reckless, angry, and afraid. Your consciousness will be faltering, superficial, and nebulous. Again, you will realize, alas, I am dead. What should I do now? Reflecting on this, your consciousness will grow sad, your heart will be chilled, and you will feel intense and boundless misery. Your mind is being compelled to move on, without settling in one place. Do not indulge in all kinds of memories. Let your awareness rest in an undistracted state. The time will come when you will realize that you have no food, except that which has been dedicated to you. As for companionship, here similarly there will be no certainty. These are both indications that the mental body is wandering in the intermediate state of rebirth. Your present feelings of happiness and sorrow are now driven by your past actions. Once again, seeing your homeland, circle of friends, relatives, and even your own corpse, you will realize, I am dead. What should I do now? You will feel deeply saddened by your existence in a mental body and wish, oh, that I might obtain a physical body. Consequently, you will experience roaming here and there in search of a body. You might even attempt many times to re-enter your own body, but a long time has already elapsed in the previous intermediate state of reality. In winter, your body will have frozen. In summer, it will have decayed. Alternatively, your relatives will have cremated it, buried it in a grave, or offered it to the birds and wild animals. Not finding a way back, you will feel utterly distressed, and you will certainly feel yourself trying to squeeze into the crevices between stones and rocks. Torments such as these will enfold you. This being the intermediate state of rebirth, so long as you search for a body, you will experience nothing but suffering. Therefore, give up your clinging to a body, and rest in a state of non-activity, undistractedly. Liberation can be obtained in the intermediate state as a result of the above introduction. However, even though this introduction is given, Due to negative past actions, recognition may not occur. So again, you should call to the deceased by name and say the following words. O child of Buddha nature, call to the deceased by name, listen to me. It is due to your own past actions that you are now suffering in this way. No one else is responsible. This is solely the result of your own past actions. Pray ardently now to the three precious jewels. They will protect you. If you do not pray intensely now, especially if you do not know how to meditate on the Great Seal, or if you cannot meditate on a meditational deity, the innate good conscience within you will now gather together all your virtuous actions, counting them out with white pebbles, and the innate bad conscience within you will gather together all your non-virtuous actions, counting them out with black pebbles. At this moment you will tremble with extreme fear, awe, and terror. You will tell lies, saying, I have not committed non-virtuous actions. But at this, Nyingma will say, I shall consult the mirror of past actions. In the mirror of past actions, all your virtues and non-virtues will be reflected vividly and precisely. Your attempts at deceit will be of no use. Tying a rope around your neck, Nyingma will drag you forward. He will sever your head at the neck, extract your heart, pull out your entrails, lick your brains, drink your blood, eat your flesh, and suck your bones. Despite this, you will not die. Even as your body is repeatedly cut into pieces, it will be continuously revived. Experiencing being cut into pieces in this way, time after time, will cause enormous suffering. From the moment the counting of the pebbles begins, do not be afraid, do not be terrified, do not lie, and do not be afraid of Nyingma. The body which you now have is a mental body. Therefore, even though you experience being slain and cut into pieces, you cannot die. Recognize now that in reality you need have no fear, because in truth your body is a natural form of emptiness. The acolytes of Nyingma are also, in reality, natural forms of emptiness. These are your own bewildered perceptions. Your body, formed of mental propensities, is a natural form of emptiness. Emptiness cannot harm emptiness. Signlessness cannot harm signlessness. Outside and distinct from your own bewildering perceptions, Nyingma, gods, malevolent forces, the bull-headed Raksha, and so on, do not substantially exist. Recognize this. Recognize now that this is the intermediate state. Place your mind in the meditative stability of the Great Seal. If you do not know how to meditate, directly examine the essence of that which is producing your fear and terror. This essence is a stark emptiness, completely without inherent existence in any respect whatsoever. This stark emptiness is the Buddha body of reality. Yet this emptiness is not a vacuous or nihilistic emptiness. The essential nature of this emptiness is an awesome, direct, and radiant awareness, which is the enlightened intention of the Buddha body of perfect resource. Indeed, emptiness and radiance are not separate. The essential nature of emptiness is radiance, and the essential nature of radiance is emptiness. This indivisible, naked, unclouded, and exposed awareness, present as it is right now in a natural, uncontrived state, is the Buddha body of essentiality. Furthermore, the natural expressive power of this Buddha body of essentiality is the compassionate Buddha body of emanation, which arises everywhere without obstruction. O child of Buddha nature, listen to me now, and do not be distracted. By merely recognizing the essential nature of your experience in the above way, you will attain perfect Buddhahood, endowed with these 4 Buddha bodies. Do not be distracted. The division between Buddhas and sentient beings is determined by this recognition. If you are distracted at this critical moment, the opportunity to escape from the swamp of suffering will be lost. It is said of this very moment, in an instant, penetrating analysis is made. In an instant, perfect Buddhahood is attained. Until yesterday, because you were distracted, even though so many aspects of the intermediate states have arisen, you did not attain recognition. Up to this time, you have experienced so much fear and terror. Now, if you continue to be distracted, the lifeline of compassion, suspended to you, will be cut off, and you will move on to a place where there is no immediate prospect of liberation. So, be careful. Through this introduction, even though the deceased may have failed to attain recognition previously, he or she will be able to do so at this stage, and consequently attain liberation. If, however, the deceased is a layperson who does not know how to meditate, you should say the following words. O child of Buddha nature, if you do know how to meditate, you should call to mind the Buddha, the sacred teachings, the sublime assembly of monks and nuns, and the meditational deity Mahakarunika, and pray to them. Meditate on all the fearful and terrifying appearances as being forms of Mahakarunika or your meditational deity. Remember your spiritual teacher, and remember the name which you received during empowerment ceremonies in the human world. Say this name to Yama Dhamaraja, and do not be afraid of him. Know now that even if you were to plunge down over the precipices, you would not be harmed. So abandon your fear and your terror. Even though liberation may not have been achieved previously, if the above introduction is accepted, the deceased will attain liberation at this juncture. Yet, since there is the possibility that the deceased will not achieve recognition, even though the introduction has been given, it is very important to persevere. Therefore, once again, one should call to the deceased by name and say the following words. O child of Buddha nature, your present perceptions can, like a catapult in an instant, cast you into the most awesome states, either blissful or full of suffering. Therefore, now it is critical that your perceptions are not colored by either attachment or aversion. It may be that you are about to take birth in the higher realms, yet at the time when the perceptions of the higher realms occur, your living relatives, now left behind, are sacrificing and offering many animals on your behalf, dedicating this activity to you, the deceased. Corrupted perceptions will thus arise, and consequently an intense aversion may well up within you, and this will form a connecting link to a birth in the hell realms. Therefore, whatever activities occur in the place that you have left behind, meditate on loving kindness, and ensure that aversion does not arise. Alternatively, your mind may grow attached to your wealth and possessions now left behind, or else, knowing that your wealth and possessions are being enjoyed and owned by others, you may become both attached to those worldly goods and also hateful towards those left behind who are using your possessions. As a result of this, a connecting link will certainly be formed to a birth amongst the hell beings or amongst the anguished spirits, even though you may have been at the point of attaining birth in one of the higher realms. However attached you may be to the wealth now left behind, you do not have the ability to enjoy it. Since it is absolutely of no use to you, abandon your attachment and yearning for the wealth that you have left behind. Let it go. Be decisive. Regardless of who is enjoying your wealth, do not be possessive. Let it go. Cultivate devotion, and imagine that you are offering these worldly possessions to your spiritual teacher and to the three precious jewels. Rest in a state free from attachment and free from clinging. Once again, even when the Kanka na Nidirani incantation for the dead is being recited for you, and the purification of the lower realms, Sava, Durga, Tipari, Sordana Tantra, is being recited on your behalf, you may perceive with your present subtle cognitive ability that these rites are being performed impurely and distractedly, and that those who are performing these rituals are impure both in their commitments and vows and are careless in their conduct. As a result, you may have no confidence in them, you may form a bad opinion of them, and you may become fearfully and horribly aware of their negative past actions, etc., as well as their impure practice of the sacred teachings and the rituals. Feeling this, you will experience the utmost sadness and think, "Alas, they have betrayed me. They have truly betrayed me." As a consequence of your profound disenchantment, instead of maintaining purity of perception and feelings of respect, negative opinions and loss of confidence will arise within you. Thus, these perceptions and feelings will form a connecting link that will certainly propel you into the lower existences, and in this way, your subtle cognitive ability and the rituals recited on your behalf will not have been of benefit, but rather of great harm. However impure may be the practice of the sacred teachings by your friends now left behind, you must maintain respect and purity of perception from the depths of your heart. Think to yourself, "My own perception is so polluted. How could the speech of the Buddhas be impure? These impure perspectives have arisen as a consequence of my own impure perception, and will appear to me just as the flaws on my face will be reflected in a mirror." As for these individuals performing the rituals, in reality their bodies are the sublime community of monks and nuns, their speech is the genuine sacred teaching, and their minds are the essence of the Buddhas. Therefore I take refuge in them. Thinking thus, whatever activities occur in the place that you have left behind, they will certainly be beneficial to you. It is extremely important to maintain this purity of perception. Do not forget this. Even if you are about to be born into the lower existences, yet you do maintain purity of perception, and you perceive the relatives that you have left behind practicing the virtuous teachings unstained by negativity, and you see your spiritual teachers and masters purely practicing the rituals with virtuous body, speech, and mind, you will feel great joy. Simply through this experience of great joy, even though you are about to fall into lower existences, this joy will form a connecting link, which will certainly turn you back towards the higher realms. Since there is such manifold benefit, do not now lapse into impure perception. It is extremely important to maintain purity of perception and to be unbiasedly devoted. So be careful. O child of Buddha nature, in short, since your awareness during this intermediate state lacks any material support, it is light and volatile, and therefore whatever virtuous or non-virtuous perceptions arise, these are very powerful. Do not be absorbed by non-virtuous thoughts. Call to mind the virtuous practices of your past. Even if you did not engage in virtuous practices during your life, maintain purity of perception and deep devotion. Pray to your meditational deity or to Mahakarunika, and with a powerful longing repeat the following aspirational prayer. Now, when I roam alone, separated from loved ones, and myriad images of emptiness arise, naturally manifesting, may the Buddhas quickly release the power of their compassion, and may the fear of the awesome and terrifying intermediate state be annulled. When I experience suffering as the result of negative past actions, may the meditational deity Mahakarunika dispel all such misery, and as the natural sound of reality reverberates like 1,000 peals of thunder, may all sounds be transformed into the resonance of the 6 syllables. When I am driven on by past actions, unable to find a refuge, may the great compassionate one Mahakarunika protect me. And as I experience the suffering of habitual tendencies and past actions, may the meditative stabilities of inner radiance and bliss naturally arise. Say this aspirational prayer with ardent longing. It will certainly lead you on to the path. Be absolutely certain that this aspirational prayer will not deceive you. This is most important. Through these words, the deceased will regain his or her focus and recognition will occur. Then liberation will be attained. Obstruction of the womb entrances. Even though this introduction may have been given many times, due to the potency of strong negative past actions, recognition may be difficult. It is very beneficial, therefore, to repeat the introduction now many times. Again, therefore, calling to the deceased by name, you should say the following words at least 3 times. O child of Buddha nature, if you have not taken to heart the introduction which has gone before, from now on, the body of your past life will grow more faint, and the body of your next life will grow more vivid. At this you will be dismayed, and you will think, I am experiencing such misery. Now I will look for whatever kind of body I can find. Thinking in this way, you will move haphazardly and randomly towards whatever might appear, and consequently the 6 lights indicative of the 6 realms of living beings will dawn, and according to your past actions, the light of the realm into which you are to be born will shine the most of all. O child of Buddha nature, listen. What are these 6 lights, you may ask? A dull white light indicative of the realm of the gods will arise. A dull red light indicative of the realm of the anti-gods will arise. A dull blue light indicative of the human realm will arise. A dull green light indicative of the animal realm will arise. A dull yellow light indicative of the realm of the anguished spirits will arise. And a dull smoky light indicative of the realm of the hell beings will arise. These 6 lights will emerge. And at this time, your present body will take on the color of the light of the realm into which you are to be born. O child of Buddha nature, at this juncture, the essential points of the oral instructions are extremely important. Meditate now on the light that dawns as being Mahakarunika. Meditate on the thought that when the light dawns, it is Mahakarunika. This is the most profound, crucial point. It is extremely important because this oral instruction obstructs birth. Alternatively, you should meditate for a long time on your meditational deity, whichever it may be. Meditate on the deity appearing like an illusion, completely free from inherent existence. This is called the practice of the pure, illusion-like body. Accordingly, dissolve the form of the meditational deity from the extremities inwards until it disappears completely, and abide in the resultant state of emptiness and radiance, where nothing at all substantially exists, and where there is no subjective apprehension. Meditate yet again on the meditational deity. Meditate again on the inner radiance. Meditate alternately in this way, and after this dissolve your awareness itself from the extremities inwards into emptiness and radiance. Wherever there is space, there is awareness. Wherever there is awareness, there is the Buddha body of reality. Abide nakedly, therefore, in the state of the unimpeded Buddha body of reality, free from conceptual elaboration. Abiding in this state, birth will be obstructed and Buddhahood will be attained. Yet those unfamiliar with meditative experience and those very weak in their practice will not be able to understand and apply the above introductions. Once again, overcome by confusion, they will wander towards the womb entrances. Thus the teachings which obstruct the womb entrances become of great importance, and you should once again call to the deceased by name and say the following words. O child of Buddha nature, if you have not attained recognition as a result of the introductions which have gone before, then based on the potency of your past actions, the perception will arise that you are moving upwards, or moving horizontally, or moving downwards. As this occurs, you should meditate on Mahakarunika. Remember this. Yet again, as described before, the experience will arise of being pursued by whirlwinds, blizzards, hail or fog, and a crowd of people, and you will be trying to escape. Those who are lacking in merit will experience that they are fleeing towards a place of suffering. Those with merit will experience arriving at a place of happiness. O child of Buddha nature, now at this point, the signs of the environment into which you are to be born, on one amongst the 4 continents, will arise. Specifically for this moment, there are many profound essential points of oral instruction. Therefore, listen now without distraction. Even though previously you have not taken to heart the essential instructions introduced to you, you can do so now, for even those whose practice is very weak can understand and apply one of the following essential instructions. So listen now without distraction. At this stage, it is extremely important that you carefully employ the methods for obstructing the womb entrances. Principally, there are 2 such methods of obstruction. These are, first, the method which obstructs the person who is to enter the womb, and second, the methods which obstruct the womb which is to be entered. The oral teaching for the method which obstructs the person who is to enter the womb is as follows. O child of Buddha nature, called to the deceased by name, visualize now your meditational deity, whichever it may be, with vibrancy. Meditate on the deity as vividly apparent, yet completely lacking in inherent existence, like the reflection of the moon in the water. If you do not have a specific meditational deity, then visualize the Lord Mahakarunika, again with great vibrancy. Then gradually dissolve the image of the meditational deity from the extremities inwards until it disappears completely, and then meditate on the resultant union of inner radiance and emptiness, which is utterly free from any objective referent. This is the profound essential point. Meditate in this way, for it is said that by this means entry into a womb will be averted. Should even this introduction not cause obstruction, and should the deceased continue to draw closer to the act of entering a womb, there are also the profound oral instructions which obstruct the womb entrances. These are as follows. O child of Buddha nature, listen carefully. In the recitation of the root verses of the 6 intermediate states, the following lines are spoken. Repeat these now after me. Alas, now as the intermediate state of rebirth arises before me, I must with one-pointed intention concentrate my mind and resolutely connect with the residual potency of my virtuous past actions. I must obstruct the womb entrances and call to mind the methods of reversal. This is the time when perseverance and purity of perception are imperative. I must give up all jealousy and meditate on my spiritual teacher with consort. It is extremely important to clearly repeat these verses aloud, to arouse your memories of past virtues, to meditate on this prayer and to experientially cultivate its meaning. The meaning of these verses is as follows. The line, "Now as the intermediate state of rebirth arises before me," explains that you are now roaming in the intermediate state of rebirth. As an indication of this, if you look into water, you will not see your reflection. Your body does not even cast a shadow. These are both signs that you do not have a solid body of flesh and blood, but that you are roaming with a subtle mental body in the intermediate state of rebirth. Now, therefore, you must, with one-pointed intention, concentrate your mind undistractedly. At this moment, this singularity of intention is by itself the most important factor. It is like a horse being controlled by the use of a bridle. Whatever your intention focuses upon, this will come about. Do not turn your mind to negative past actions. Call to mind now your connections in the human world with the sacred teachings and instructions. Remember the empowerments and oral transmissions previously received. Remember your connection with this liberation by hearing in the intermediate states, and so forth. It is extremely important that you resolutely connect with the residual potency of your virtuous past actions. Do not forget. Do not be distracted. The present moment is the dividing line between progression and regression. The present moment is the time when, by lapsing into laziness even for an instant, you will experience constant suffering. The present moment is the time when, by concentrating with a singular intention, you will achieve constant happiness. Concentrate your mind with a single-pointed intention. Resolutely connect with the residual potency of your virtuous past actions. Now is the time when you must obstruct the womb entrances. It is said in the verses that you must obstruct the womb entrances and call to mind the methods of reversal. This is the time when perseverance and purity of perception are imperative. You have now arrived at that stage. Your priority now is to obstruct the womb entrances. There are 5 methods which will bring about the obstruction of the womb entrances, so keep them carefully in mind.